On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, I talk with the leadership linebacker, Dr. Jason Carthen, about finding your destiny and the GAP leadership principle. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and with me today, I'm very excited. I love this title. I have Dr. Jason Carthen with me. He's the leadership linebacker, one of the coolest titles I think I've ever heard. And I appreciate you being here, Dr. Jason. And hey, so thank you very much.
Hey, my privilege, man. When you actually told me about it, I was excited and said, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Make it happen.
And I know you're being flexible this morning, so I really appreciate it. Hey, let's jump right in. I was watching one of your keynotes, and you said if people want to live out their destiny, they need to practice the 4 Ps. Can you explain to our listeners what that means?
Sure, absolutely. Well, let me give you some backstory first before we even go forward. Initially, the first part of my life, I had a lot of hesitancy in terms of just self-confidence and the ability to be able to move forward and all those different things. And I began to realize that, I needed to understand what my purpose was going to be in life. And that's one of the initial components of the 4 Ps. You have purpose, passion, persistence, and partnership. And if you're truly going to live out your destiny, you really need alignment in those 4 areas, because at the end of the day, if you don't understand what your purpose is, it's going to be very difficult to have momentum in other areas of your life. And I'm not talking about some ethereal thing that you can't touch. After you've done some research to understand what you like to do, what you're passionate about, what really gives you energy, you can really assign that type of purpose to your life. And that could be, working with youth. That could be finance. That could be whatever it is. You know what your purpose is, and then it sort of culminates in each one of the other areas as you grow and develop, as you explore it even more too. So it's really intriguing, the human mind. Once you begin to understand what you're called to do, it really frees you up in a lot of areas. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great stuff. And it certainly spoke to me, because I think you're right. The human mind is a really, really interesting thing. And like I said, I really liked the 4 Ps. That was cool.
Thank you.
The other thing I've heard you say, and actually, as you know, we just had sort of a conversation about this recently, but I've heard you say if you want to be successful, it can't be just about you. You need to reach out and help others. As you know, I love that concept.
Yes.
Why do you think that's true?
Well, at the end of the day, if it's all about you, basically, you're just going to be a closed system. And, there's a lot of research that supports the whole idea of not being effective when you operate in a silo and when you're a closed system, because you are really alienating your environment. I just truly believe that you should be a conduit. You shouldn't be a dam and keep everything to yourself at the end of the day. So it can't be about you. Now, granted, I will say this, it takes a certain level of maturity to embrace that, because, Kirby, as you know, as you grow in business, there's a tendency to focus on more market share. There's a tendency to say, well, I want more, and sometimes that equates to more finances coming in or more revenue, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, if you lose sight of helping others, then no matter how much money you make, no matter how much market share you command, at the end of the day, that's an empty existence, in my opinion.
Yeah, great stuff. I love the idea of giving back and helping others. So that's super important. Now, the other concept I heard you talk about is GAP leadership, GAPP leadership. Why is that important?
Yeah, well, I have just a passion for research. And so I've written a lot of articles. I present at conferences and things of that nature. And, through the course of my research, I began to see tendencies. I began to see correlations in behavior relative to leadership, what followers respond to, what leaders don't typically like to do because it takes them out of their comfort zone. But when they do it, great things happen. And, I came up with the theory of gap leadership. I'm still testing it, but at the end of the day, it's shown a lot of congruence when leaders interact in a certain way. So gap, the acronym stands for goal achieving, passion producing leadership. And you have components. You have 4 components, and we'll have a whole lot of time. But basically, when a leader is able to demonstrate discipline, and that's the first one, when a leader is able to demonstrate a certain level of hope, and it's not your normal hope. I'm going to expand on these in a second. And then when a leader is able to demonstrate resilience, and then the last component is trust. Now, of those 4 components, the first one, and I don't know how much time we have, but Kirby, let me unpack these a little bit.
Sure.
Do I have a little bit of time?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. So when you demonstrate the first one, discipline, okay, this is the repetitive, small interactions on a daily basis that followers see that achieve a certain level of congruence. So say, for example, when you have a follower that sees a leader that gets there early, when you see a leader that is intentional in their integrity and showing their integrity, when you have a leader that says, hey, you are more than just a cog in a wheel. You are not just a name here. You're important to us. And the more that leader demonstrates that on a daily basis through discipline, because it's not easy to do. I may be downplaying it here, but when a leader is able to do that intentionally, that follower says, wow, I mean, this leader lines up, their daily interactions really line up with what they say. It's not just something where they're just giving it voice in that way. So that's the first component of goal achieving and passion producing leadership, or gap leadership. And then the component of hope. Now, hope has gotten a bad rap because a lot of times people will use it so much and throw it around that it's become this ethereal thing. Well, I hope we can do this. I hope we hit our targeted goals. I hope that, we can instill some motivation in people. But really, hope is a research theory, okay? And you have 2 components of it. You have pathway and you have agency, okay? And agency is the really critically thinking about the task at hand. And then how are we going to formulate a process to deal with whatever the problem, barrier, opportunity may be, okay? So that's the pathway. That's the agency thinking. And then the next one is pathway. Pathway says that, hey, at the end of the day, we've come up with all these different things with the agency thinking. All right. But pathway says, what are the crucial steps that we must initiate and carry out and follow through with to really make it happen? Now, when you combine pathway and agency thinking, you have created a legitimate belief in hope that is going to take place. Now it's not just this ethereal thing, but you have steps that are required to make this thing actually come to fruition. And so that second component really lets people know that, okay, I can be hopeful. My leader has set out a pathway to achieve this. We've done the meetings. We've created all these different things with the agency thinking. And now we just have to go forward. And we're hopeful that it's going to have a very positive outcome. Right. Next component there, resilience. When you have a leader that is able to weather storms, followers see that. Followers see that, okay, we may be taking on water, but the leader hasn't jumped out of the boat, all right? We know that we can continue to move forward because no matter what may happen, no matter what adversities may come, what trials may come, I can still move forward because this leader has shown a certain level of resilience that they can move forward, do what they need to do. So why wouldn't I do the same thing? I am on board with the mission and the vision. And at the end of the day, you know what, I'm going to be resilient because I see it modeled to me. All right.
Yeah.
Last component here, and we're talking about gap leadership, trust. Now, this one's a little hard because this component really requires a certain level of maturity because a leader must first trust themselves. Two components. The leader must first trust themselves because many people operate out of their own baggage. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I mean by baggage, home of origin issues, slights in life, challenges in life that they weren't fully able to overcome. So they must trust themselves that they're going to lead well. They're going to create healthy boundaries in relationship, all those different things that really says this leader is mature. This leader is able to move forward and do some amazing things. And then the second component to that trust, though, is trusting their followers. You got to let it go sometimes. You got to deputize people. You have to delegate and say, all right, I trust that you're going to do this. I'm not going to micromanage you. I'm not going to look over your shoulder and say, you have to do it this way or else. So you have to trust your people, but you can't get there until you trust yourself first. And so it requires a certain level of maturity. And, you know, when I do my coaching sessions or I do my workshops or my seminars, I really tell people, hey, you're going to have to get serious here. I don't know what thing you haven't dealt with in the past or what slight you haven't dealt with or what challenge you didn't overcome. But if you're going to lead people well, you're going to have to love them well, too. And that requires a certain level of maturity, which can be a challenge. So,
for sure.
I shared a lot, but that is gap leadership. And it's something that I found when those leaders are able to demonstrate those four components, and we can go even deeper. There's a certain level of motivation and passion that really takes place in the follower. And they get behind them and say, hey, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I believe in you. You believe in me. And we'll make this thing happen.
Man, that's fantastic stuff, and I really appreciate that, Jason. And you have answered my questions, and I certainly appreciate that. I give everybody an opportunity to ask me one question too, so I'll let you fire away, man.
Well, and hopefully I won't catch you flat-footed with this, but you know what? I see all of these different internet marketers and these people that are coming out with all these different funnel approaches and getting people in the pipeline and automated autoresponders. What would you, at the end of the day, and these are for some of my clients, at the end of the day, what would you suggest would be the best way to keep clients in the pipeline and then also create a healthy funnel that allows clients to not only get value from you, but also at the end of the day, know that they're getting what they pay for. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think it's the question that is every entrepreneur is trying to find that $1 million answer to.
Right.
I think, I guess I come back to what you and I have talked about in the past is give first marketing. And so what I mean by that is in order to get people into your funnel, I think you need to provide them something of value. One of the things I always say is, if you want someone to give you their email address, that's not free. They need to determine that whatever you're going to give them is worth, because they know that you're going to market to them. And so, yeah, I mean, the consumer is much more astute than they used to be. So I would say, whether it's a free report, whether it's a free offering, whether it's some sort of value where you can then, you're trading something that you have spent a lot of time, effort, money, research to create. You're going to give that to them in exchange for the opportunity to market to them. And then, you and I both are Infusionsoft customers. I think that's there are lots of other automated softwares out there. That's one that I think does have a lot of value. Getting people into your funnel there and then continuing to provide them value for as long as you have a relationship with them until they either become a customer or they don't become a customer. But I think it starts with, as an organization, as an entrepreneur, giving value first, and gaining that credibility and trust, and spending the time with them, I think that helps to create a long-term relationship that you'll be happy with, in the long way. Cool?
Yeah, that's good stuff, Kirby. Good
Thanks.
stuff.
Well,
Hey, before we close here,
yeah.
and of course, I'm going to share this with other people as well. I need to put one disclaimer out here. I got a lot of love for Kirby, but he actually got me when I got right out of the gym. So, hence the very casual look, everybody. This is not my norm. Had to throw that disclaimer out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And hey, man, a lot of people are jealous in the sense that, you're in the gym, you're working it. So that's good for you, brother. Hey, thank you so much for being a part of this. And hey, let's do it again, okay?
Absolutely. We'll make it happen. Thanks, Kirby.
All right. That wraps up another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We will see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching, but wait! Can you do me a favor? Please subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done it already, the way to do it's right over here. And hey, if you want to watch the last episode, check that out over here. Again, before you leave, subscribe!